Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining me for another book chat. Let's spend a little time with The King of the Swords by Michael Moorcock. This book was published originally back in 1971, and I read a 2015 Titan Books electronic edition. So yeah, The King of the Swords by Michael Moorcock. This is book 3 of the Corum series, and I've read books 1 and 2 and also chatted those, so I will link those chats down in the description below. But let's spend some time with the King of the Swords now. So first off, I want to say I'm not going to give away any kind of spoiler or I'm not going to give away anything that I think might detract from the reading of the books if you're not familiar with them. So yeah, not planning on doing that. I described this world and the main characters in the previous chat, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over that now. I just will reiterate really quickly that we have our main character, Prince Corum, who is not a human. He is a Vogl, which was a race of sort of superior, really civilized, intellectualized beings who ran into a lot of trouble in Book 1, and Prince Corum made his way out through that conflict and made his way into Book 2 and now on into Book 3. His partner slash love of his life slash significant other is Ralina, and she accompanies him throughout all of the adventures and all the different quests that have gone on since he met her. She's right there by his side. Last book, in Book 2, he also picked up the companion to the champions, Jahari. His name is Jahari. He is an eternal figure that recurs throughout time and place, and he is constantly, usually, in the service of or a companion to a champion. And Jahari is accompanied by his eternal companion, a flying cat. So those are our main characters. You know, they inhabit this world that is in a state of imbalance between chaos and law. And chaos has run amok through Book 1 and through Book 2, as well as in Book 3. And so that's sort of where we are. Now, also in Book 1, Prince Corum was maimed in like a horrible way, and he did eventually get some prosthetics. I won't go into details about what the prosthetics were or what they do, but he does have these prosthetics that sort of have magical properties, and the prosthetics get explained in Book 3 in more detail. So that was really cool. So yeah, Book 3 is divided into 3 different sections that are called books, and so each book has a description, has a title page with a description, and I thought that would be a really good way to sort of review what the book's about without giving a lot of details and spoilers about the book away. So let's do that. Book 1 is in which Prince Corum sees serenity transformed into strife. In which Prince Corum sees serenity transformed into strife. So, back to this world. So this world moves through 5 different planes, and Prince Corum is a Vogl. They have the ability to understand the different planes. Most of the humans are actually pretty barbaric and violent. The Lady Ralina is a human, but she's of a sort of more civilized form of human. But anyway, so these different planes of existence, the Book 1 concerned with these 5, this world moves through 5 planes, and then there are 10 other planes. Book 2 concerned the next 5, who had a ruler, the Queen of the Swords. And then this book, Book 3, this last 5 planes are ruled by the King of the Swords. And so this conflict, so what has happened in Book 2, we sort of had a lull, and Prince Corum went back to his home province, with Ralina, and they were rebuilding, and it seemed like it was a period of peace and prosperity on the horizon, and everybody sort of became complacent again that things were going to be okay. And then they started getting short-tempered with each other and finding fault with each other and bickering with each other and fighting with each other. And it seemed like they get the idea that this isn't quite natural. Well, Jahari's flying cat, who's always good in a pinch to go on a spy mission, flies off to figure out what's going on and discovers that there is sorcery afoot. And the forces of chaos have enlisted a sorcerer who is able to, I guess, put the spell on basically the whole population of this area. And so, in a gruesome way, by the way that the sorcery is done. Ugh. But the little cat figures this out, goes back and tells Jahari, so they understand. So now Jahari, tells, of course, Prince Corum and Rowlena, and they know that they don't have a lot of time. They got to get cracking. So here we are. We're off. We're off on our first quest, and there's multiple quests throughout the book. So that's part one, book one of this book. So book two is called "In Which Prince Corum and His Companions Learn the Full Import of What Chaos Is and What It Intends to Become, and Discover something more concerning the nature of time and identity." So yeah, the forces of chaos, so the gods, there's a lot of gods in these books, and they rule different things. There are some gods who assist the forces of law, and some gods who assist the forces of chaos. The gods cannot act directly on the material world, but they can influence mortal beings to do their bidding, and that's what they do. So, but it's kind of cool. I just thought I would read a quote from the book about this thing about the time and identity, because it's a recurring theme, especially in book two, and then quite a bit in book three. So this is three different characters are having a conversation: Prince Corum, Aracosa, and Elric. And Aracosa has his own series called the Eternal Champion series, and Elric has his own series as well. Michael Moorcock did a series of Elric as well. So, but these characters are in this book as well, in the King of the Swords. And I believe it's Aracosa who's speaking here to the other two. He says, "1,000 names are mine, 1,000 heroes I have been. I am John Docker, Aracosa, Erlich, many, many, many more. The memories, the dreams, the existences." He stared at them suddenly through his pain-filled eyes. "Do you not understand? Am I the only one doomed to understand? I am he who has been called the Champion Eternal. I am the hero who has existed forever. And yes, I am Eric of Melnibone, Prince Corum Jahalin Irsay. I am you also. We three are the same creature, and a myriad other creatures besides. We three are one thing, doomed to struggle forever and never understand why. Oh, how my head pounds. Who tortures me so? Who?" So that's pretty cool. So we are all aspects of the same man, yet we have tripled our strength because we have been drawn from three different ages, he goes on to say. So they're the same being, sort of trippy with time, right? Time and identity. We got introduced to this with Jahari in book two, of where he's recurring through time. Sometimes he can remember who he is, and sometimes I think he recognized Prince Corum in this life, or in this existence, or in that reality. Maybe it's better to say in that reality. And then these three characters are all aspects of the same person, but they come together in this reality as three individuals. So, kind of trippy, but pretty cool. All right, so book three is called "In Which Prince Corum Discovers Far More Than Tanalorn." So book three, "In Which Prince Corum Discovers Far More Than Tanalorn." There are some reveals at the end. For one, we find out who the waiting god is. So the waiting god, I mentioned this in the last book chat, appears in all three of the books. It recurs. It's a god that is this huge giant that wanders the ocean, throwing out nets, and then catching up everything in the net, looking through it, and throwing it all back. And so it gets explained who the waiting god is in this book, which was pretty cool. But Tanalorn is a semi-mythical city that has a perfect cosmic balance. And one of their quests in this book is to seek out Tanalorn, a real Tanalorn, to get the wisdom they will need to actually set their world right in a balance again, in a cosmic balance. So pretty cool. So yeah, before I run out of time, a couple of thoughts. One is about Rowlena. I thought it was really cool how strong a character she is. She accompanies Prince Corum. They meet in book one. They instantly fall in love, and even though they're of different species, and that's an issue, that's a deal back in book one that they overcome. But they're different. She's a human, and he's a Vogl, like I mentioned. But they have this really strong connection, and she accompanies him on all the quests. So she is not a damsel in distress at all. She accompanies him on all of the fights, and she can wield a sword too if she needs to. And so sometimes they get split up, and so she's a really strong character, and I thought that was really cool. I really also like this idea of the different time and identity, and so there's other two series, the Eternal Champion series as well as the Elric series. Those both sound really intriguing to me, so I think maybe in the future I might give a read to those as well. He also, Michael Moorcock was very prolific, so he has other series as well. I've read through descriptions of them, and they all sound really sort of intriguing, kind of sword and sorcery, kind of fantasy, but cool, very cool. Lots of fun and a great adventure to go on. So the Corum series, actually there are 6 books in this series. I've only read 3 of them, but this really felt like a good stopping place. And so I went ahead and I'm going to pause right now and not read the other 3 of this series right now. I do think I might pick it up again and read through the next 3. They're actually very quick reads. Even though I described 3 books within this book, 3 parts, it's only a couple of, I think it's definitely less than 300 pages, around 300 pages or so, or less. So it's a fairly quick read and just a lot of fun. So I definitely will be reading some more Michael Moorcock in the future. So yeah, all right. Having said that, what is the next? The next book I'm going to chat is called The Art of Community: 7 Principles for Belonging by Charles H. Vogl. I have already read this book, so I hope to have a chat coming up on this very, very soon. So until next time, take care. Bye.